everyone. Welcome to Australian Book Travels. As you probably saw at the beginning of the video, it is really foggy here. In fact, since I took that video about half an hour ago, the fog has actually moved in closer. It is pea soup out there. So we're having a rather strange spring at the moment, or beginning the start of spring. It's we've had lots of wind, lots of fog, not enough rain, unfortunately, but we've had little bits and pieces. Anyway, hopefully we'll get more rain. Okay, let's get into this because I've noticed over the last few weeks the videos have been longer, and that has, although I have videoed in the early morning, it has, for some reason, YouTube has taken so much longer. It takes almost 6 hours to upload the video. So I don't know whether it's the time of day or the location or whatever, but I thought it's around about 7:30 now. So I'm an hour earlier than what I normally video. And so I thought I would get these, jot along and get these up and get them up on YouTube as quickly as possible. So let's do that. Okay. I have a couple of Australian ones for you today. Sorry about this, everyone. They're the must-do evil, I'm afraid. We have a couple of Australian novels for you, but I actually had quite an emotional read this week, and I will explain. I'll explain as we go along. Now, the first novel that we have, Australian author, Australian story. Well, first of all, it's Murder in Punch Lane by Jane Sullivan. Now, Jane is a journalist. I think she writes for The Sun and the Sydney Morning Herald, I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that, but I know that she's an established journalist and she has already written a few novels. This one is it begins in 1868 in Melbourne. So in that real, the thick of the gold rush, when Melbourne, here in Victoria, Australia, was extreme. I think it was known as the wealthiest place on the planet at that time, along with Bendigo. I know they may have shared that recognition, or it may have alternated between the two, but all due to gold, Melbourne was at one stage the wealthiest place on the planet, so to speak. So we are right in the midst of all of that. Beautiful buildings, great architecture, remembering that 1868 was not even 100 years after colonisation, so that establishing society and where people's places are in society. And although not just newly established, there was some concern about the police force, because what happened was, because we were a penal colony, essentially, I mean, there were other reasons why Australia was colonised, but because it was more of a penal colony, there were not enough law-abiding people or men who wanted to become or could become police officers. So a lot of the ex-convicts were recruited into the police force. So not saying that they were all corrupt or that they were all, baddies, but there was an establishment of corruption and really not law-abiding police. So we have that. Now, so this is great. This is a really good novel. I'm surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did. Now, first of all, I'll give you, this is by Echo Publishing, and it was published in this year, 2024. I think perhaps released only a month or maybe 6 weeks ago. I bought it this last week, I think, and I read it this week. Okay, so we are in 1868 in Melbourne. There are a number of, even though this is fiction, there are a number of historical facts in this. So we have an actress, a young actress, Marie St. Denis, who dies, and she did in the 1800s, mid 1800s. A young actress, I think she was about 17 or thereabouts. She did die mysteriously, although I think it was declared that she had committed suicide. But in this novel, we have a good friend who is the protagonist, our main character, who believes she has been murdered. From there, there is the introduction of another character, main character, a gentleman. We say gentleman. He's a bit of a rogue. He's a bit of a gambler and a bit of a womanizer. But our beautiful young protagonist is young and innocent, but she's feisty. She's strong, and she is going to do whatever she can to find the murderer of her good friend. Now, these two people come together by really strange means. They shouldn't really know each other. And what I liked about this particularly, it was a really good plot, was really good. What I liked about it was it... we were given the stories of these two main characters, and the murder, although it was the main plot and that's what we're looking for, the murderer, but it digresses nicely, not too much, but it digresses into the lives of our two characters and what happens to them. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was fantastic. Now, the other thing, there are other historical characters, Sir Rittenberry, who in a video from, I think, the beginning of the year, we went to the State Library, one of our travel videos. We went to the State Library in Victoria and we saw his statue out the front of the State Library. But he was a justice. I can't remember now, actually. But he was definitely a very prominent figure in Melbourne in the mid-1800s. So we have him, and there are a couple of other historical figures who, for instance, the head of the police force and a couple of other theatre actors and producers and things. So this is really good. I recommend it. Great plot. Really had me wanting to read it more. Now, I will, the end of this, I have so much to say about all of these books. They're just fantastic. The end of this book leads me to believe that we will have a second in the series with these two main characters. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think I will. I've never read Jane Sullivan before. She does have a couple of novels out. I may dip into another one of hers, although if there's a second one in this series, I will definitely be buying it. I recommend it. It's great. There is corruption. There are conspiracies. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. And you get a taste of what we know to have been Melbourne at that time, that criminal underbelly, because of not solely because of, but certainly it attributed to the criminal underbelly where there were ex-convicts in the police force. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. That's Murder in Punch Lane by Jane Sullivan. It is just out from Echo Publishing, and I recommend it. It's great. Oh, now, these other two. This is why I really wanted to get to these. Let's do it. These next two are very emotional. You will probably need your handkerchief or tissues whilst you're reading these. This one is by Fremantle Press, A Fortunate Life by A.B. Facey. Now, A.B. Facey was born in the mid 1890s, 1894, 1895, I think, and died in 1982. He was a journalist, and I think he wrote a few other books, but this is his most famous, and it is the only one that I have read. I read this many years ago. I think it was originally published in 1980, and I would have read it not too long after. Should I have said that? Maybe I should say I've just read it now. Give my age away. Just forget I said that. But yes, so I read it again. It is a decent sized novel. We are, let me just tell you, 476 pages. Now this is A.B. Facey, or Albert Facey, at the age of 87. I hope you can see that. Now this is the Fremantle Press series, the Treasure series, hardcover, beautiful coloured ribbon marker, and really poignant end papers. We see here the slouch hat, the Australian Army slouch hat, and A.B. Facey was in the Army, or he was in the forces in the First World War. So, beautiful cover with the Australian natives on it. Stunning. I've told you about this series before. They're absolutely beautiful. Now, let's get on to the story. This is, from my point of view, it's not a literary masterpiece, and yet it is. It definitely is. But for me, it's simply written. It is a man who wanted to, I think he actually wrote this when he was in his 80s. Was certainly after 1986. So he would have been, he would have been in his 80s. So it's more factual, and there is no floral prose. It's beautiful, and it's his story. I really enjoyed this, but do have your handkerchief ready. Probably best not organised to go out in public for a while. There is so much that happens in his life. There's the war, the First World War, the marriage and children, and so much more along the way. I'm not even going to go there with you. You need to read this. If you want to, if you are an Australian and you haven't read it, and you want to read a good Australian author, or if you are overseas and you're wanting to know more about Australian history and how real people lived and worked, and their thoughts, and how just how they live day-to-day life, this is definitely the novel for you. In fact, I think everyone should read it. I just as part of, particularly in Australia, I think as part of Australian curriculum, because this tells us the European history. Admittedly, it is the European history, or white man's history, but nevertheless, it is someone's history, and it's important. And, this is a true Australian who, he was born here actually in Victoria, and he ended up living in Western Australia. So, and I'm guessing that is how Fremantle Press in Western Australia came to publish his novel. It's beautiful. I recommend it. It is happy and sad and funny, but it's true. And we really need, look, it has been in its time famous. I think it's sold over 1 million copies, but I think it should be selling so many more. It's a beautiful story, and I recommend it. And this is a beautiful series, as you know, the Treasure series. Beautiful. I recommend that one. Now, oh dear, everyone. Okay. I finished this last night. So much to tell you. Okay, this is by Tan Tuan Eng. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is The House of Doors. And published in 2023, I think. Let me just check that. 2023, yes. This paperback edition in 2024 by Canongate Books. We are approximately 304 pages, I think from memory. Yes, 304 pages. And then at the back, we just have a couple of pages where Tan Tuan Eng is interviewed. Right. Okay. We begin in Africa, in South Africa, in 1947. Our protagonist is reflecting on her life, where she's English, but she was born and lived and married and had children in Penang in the early part of the 1900s. We are taken back to Penang to the 1920s, to 1921. This is in 3 books. Now, the first book, we say the first book, really, it's a first major chapter. The first book takes us, I'll just double check here that I'm right. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's in 3 books anyway, and no, I do want to get that for you. Book 1, and then where's book 2? Book 2 is the crux of... Hang on, everyone. I'll try and get this for you. I'm fairly sure book 1 is just in Africa. No, I could be wrong. No, I think I'm wrong there. Anyway, it's in 3 books, in the basically three life stages, really. What it is, book 1 is we're in Africa, we're in South Africa, and our protagonist Leslie is looking back on her life. Right from the beginning, it is emotional. This is extremely evocative. Right from the beginning, you can feel the atmosphere, and you can feel that there is something going on. There is a real tale or tales to be told in this novel. Now, we then go into 1921, into Penang. And from 1921, whilst we're in 1921, we are taken back to 1910 at different stages throughout that book 2. And at the end, we are then in book 3, where it sort of wraps up the tales that we're being told in, and the people that we meet. That sort of wraps up, and we are then taken back to South Africa in 1947. There is so much in this. When I finished reading this last night, I finished it at 9 o'clock or 9:15 last night. Only then did I realise that I hadn't really been breathing properly throughout the book. It was so emotional, and when I finished it, I had to actually take a deep breath, and I felt like crying. I felt as though I'd lost a beautiful story. I'd finished it, so much so that I went back and read the last chapter again. This was just powerful, really powerful. It's astounding and it's outstanding. So, in this, Tan Tuan Eng, there are historical facts in it. It's fiction, but there are historical facts. So we have Somerset Maugham and his visit to Penang in 1920s. We have Dr. Sun Yat-sen, that's right. Now, we know that Dr. Sun Yat-sen was the agitator and at the forefront of rebellion in China and for China to overthrow the dynasty, the imperial system, and he was, I think, their first president. and he has, I mean, I'm sure you all know, he's really known as the modern saviour. I'll think of a better word, for China, for the betterment of modern China. So we have Somerset Maugham, who is involved in this, and then we have Dr. Sun Yat-sen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sure it's Sun Yat-sen. And their stories are woven in the story with our protagonist. In fact, she's almost the conduit for these historical facts. And the protagonist and her husband are actually characters in one of Somerset Maugham's novels. So there's all of that really strange interconnection that his characters are involving him in the story. It's fantastic, it really is. There are and the other thing that there is in this too is about 1910 or 1912 there was a murder by an English woman, or she was actually Eurasian, I think, and she murdered an Englishman and claimed that he was trying to rape her and that was her defence. That is also in here. You probably know those historical facts. If you don't, then it's best that we don't discuss those anyway. I don't want to discuss it anyway because I think you really need to discover this book for yourself. I'm going to have to say this is probably one of the best novels I've ever read. It is, as I say, it's extremely powerful, and right from the first page almost, you could feel that there was an undercurrent. There were stories to be told, and I couldn't wait to get involved in it. And of course, when I did, at the end, I felt as though I'd really lost part of myself in this, and I was sad to say goodbye to the characters and the story. It's so atmospheric. All power to Tan Tong Eng. It was on the Booker Prize long list in 2023, but look, it's just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I recommend you read it. If you can, drop everything and get yourself a copy now and read it. I think you will be. I'd be surprised if you don't think the same as me. This was outstanding. It's powerful. So I recommend it. Absolutely beautiful. And he has written a couple of other books, two that are mentioned here. The Garden of Evening Mists and The Gift of Rain. I would love to read them, and I think I'm going to, but I'm just a little concerned that it may not come up to this, because this was outstanding. So yes, I will attempt to read them. I'm just hoping that I don't. I'm hoping that they are as good as this. Perhaps better. I don't know. I don't know how anything could be better than this. It's absolutely fantastic. So yes, The House of Dawes, a beautiful, beautiful story with historical facts. Absolutely amazing how he has interwoven all of those stories into a fictional, overall a fictional story, and yet it's just so beautifully done and so evocative. Read it. It's beautiful. So that is, and also, did I say it's published by, I did say who it's published by Canongate Books. A Fortunate Life, A.B. Facey, published by Fremantle Press, I think originally in 1980, but this This one, have we got that here? Have we got it here? Have we got, yes. Oh, it was originally published in 1981, but, so he died in 1982, so it was only a year before he died. So yes, I was right. He wrote it when he was 86. And this hardback edition was first published in 2018 and republished in 2023. Fremantle Press, now don't forget with them, if you buy 2 of any of their books, in Australia it is free post, and if you buy any books from you are overseas and you buy it directly from Fremantle Press, they have organised with Australia Post to do the best post they can get. But of course, I always encourage you to buy any of these books try first at your local independent bookshop. We need to keep the independent bookshops alive. So that's those. And the latest, which I really enjoyed, Murder in Punch Lane. Absolutely brilliant, fantastic plot, great characters, believable characters, and a good murder, or a good discovery of who the murderer is. Enjoyed it thoroughly, and I recommend it. So that's those for this week, everyone. I will see you, I hope to see you on Saturday. And of course, we have our our book competition video with all the details and the questions and the details on how to enter on the Tuesday, the 1st of October this year. And then I will see you again next week on Monday. Well, hopefully I see you Saturday, but if not, I will see you again on Monday for our book recommendation. There are a few things that are happening over the next few weeks, everyone. I'm going to be taking a break from, I think I said last week, I'm going to be taking a break from the travel videos, but there will be other things forthcoming as a result of that break. I'm taking you away interstate. We're going to look for bookshops and books and street-free libraries. We are also replenishing our giveaway books for the street-free libraries. I also want to reveal to you, we have made a business card, sort of bookmark. We have to have those printed, but what we're going to do is use those to put in the books that we give away to the street-free libraries, just so that we acknowledge that we as a channel have given the books to that street-free library. So I'll reveal those. Once we have them printed, I'll show you. And there are a few other things that we're going to be doing. But the first and foremost important thing is the book competition. So do make sure that you enter. And of course, like every video, if you have enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed the recommendations or you enjoy the travel videos, please do like, share and subscribe. And just as importantly, we really enjoy your comments. We love interacting with you. We like to know what you're thinking and where you're at in the world. So please do that. I enjoy talking to you. Okay, everyone, I must go. I must upload this as quickly as I can. So I will say goodbye. Happy reading, safe travels, eat well, take care of yourself. Bye for now.